It is 1:01, and I will call this meeting to order to discuss the 6 county boundary joint ordinance proposal. And I'll turn it over to John. Where are we with everything? Anything on your end change? Anything?
I've attended a couple of meetings since I spoke to you last. Most prominent one was I went to the assessors conference just down the road here. And I was really hoping to get some feedback out of all the assessors, and I really got none. I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But
The only question I've heard from the assessors is who's going to change the deeds?
well, the landowners are going to change the deeds, but it's still a very good question in that what comes first? Does the county update its tax rolls first, or do the deeds change first? And quite frankly, there's nobody to ask. You pick an attorney, and this is a very uncommon thing. And it is my opinion that the only logical explanation is to change the tax rolls first in advance of deeds being submitted, simply because you got to do business. The legal description that we have prepared is going to be adequate to update those tax rolls. The deeds is a bit more technical, and I'm volunteering a whole bunch of surveyors to actually work with those landowners to do that. Just the misplaced comma in a legal description can make the world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unless you write a lot of them, it's better that a professional look at them and make the necessary updates. But as far as those landowners are concerned, I think a prudent course is for each assessor to, upon updating their tax rolls, to prepare a letter for those landowners. And the landowners that are affected are all timber companies. It's not like any of your voting constituency is going to be affected. It's only,
Hundreds and hundreds of residents to have to.
it's not going to affect a single taxpayer resident. And so those timber companies and land agencies, the state of Idaho, Forest Service, and BLM need to be notified that there has been a state law that has changed the legal boundary of Shoshone County, and they will be taxed accordingly. And if those landowners are concerned about preserving all of their title rights, they need to amend their legal descriptions accordingly before they can do any conveying of any property. Forest Service, BLM, State of Idaho aren't going to be conveying any properties. They are unlikely to jump right on it.
Right.
And one of the things that the law will specify is that the recording fees will be waived for that amendment, those amended deeds, and they'll have a one year deadline to enjoy that waiving of the recording fees, which is small change really. It's just $10 bill or something. I don't know how many.
So there'd be no other cost to landowners for this.
Okay.
So from my perspective, and I talked about it then, I think it's only beneficial to the county in the long run. We're all in it for the long run. Those properties that adjoin the boundary will become a little bit more valuable because there's no question where they reside. And the most critical properties are right there just this side of Cataldo. Got a freeway interchange there that, as far as I know, a whole lot of development has not yet occurred.
Right.
But this will
More likely to.
won't it won't be tomorrow, of course, but in the long run, that's just one of the things that I think can hold up a deal. What county yet? No, we're not quite sure. And this will solidify it. I anticipate zero negative support in the legislature. I haven't talked to very many legislators about it, but none of them had any bad feelings about it. The only precedent that I am aware of very closely was accomplished in between Latah County and Nez Perce County in the late 70s, early 80s. And they abandoned a river course. The previous Potlatch Creek, Centerline Potlatch Creek, was the boundary between those two counties, and the dam creek kept, it was a wide valley, and it made some really large evulsive moves. And so there was properties that were being taxed twice by each county, and some that weren't being taxed at all. And so they simply surveyed here's the line, basically. They accepted a whole bunch of monuments, connected them all, and I'm not sure how that went. It was long before my time. I lived here when it happened, but I wasn't, didn't have my ear to the track for that sort of detail. But I think the bottom line for Shoshone County is it's only beneficial. All four counties that bound you have agreed and endorsed it. So you're going to make a modest increase in your private acreage and public acreage as well, both Forest Service and you're going to gain both tax-paying acres and freebie acres that you can just brag about.
Mm-hmm.
One other benefit that you really don't even ever worry about, every year you get a little bonus check from the feds for payments in lieu of taxes. Mm-hmm. And most commissioners, most people have very little idea how the hell that's generated and who decides what. And quite frankly, I don't even know quite how they do it, because it's done by a bunch of ologists in Washington, D.C. from Record Information. So I suspect that somebody has picked a point for the mouth of the North Fork of the Clearwater River. Do you say that? Mouth of the North Fork. Struck a line due north and did it all on a GIS system and just made a calculation. And it has very little to do with what you actually. It is correct by the legal definition, but that's about it. This will give that line some support because it will then be defined definitively with public survey monuments. The one, however they're doing it, is got no basis in reality. There's not a single monument that defines it, not one. And if you approve this, that you'll have, it's been a long time since I looked at it, but over 100 monuments will define the boundary.
Planning and zoning have any input?
Nothing special. I did, since our last meeting, we had various questions, and I did meet with John, and he was eloquently able to answer all those questions, and also show me. He forwarded me a whole bunch of the statistics that they had gone through to derive who was doing what in acreage and where, and how many property owners. So that really solidified our understanding that our fear was that there was a bunch of properties that were going to be negatively affected, and that was, we ought to tell them about that.
Yeah.
So, and then we were concerned about that. So that's all been dissuaded in that the property owners won't be negatively affected. if they have some particular concerns, there's a workable way through it as far as where to define their property now. Nobody's losing property, nobody's gaining property. It's simply a matter of where it's jurisdictionally it's going to lie. And up until today, there's some areas where we don't necessarily know definitively what jurisdiction it lies in. I had an example of one time numerous years ago, probably a decade ago, somebody wanted a building permit for a barn out Canyon Creek Road, which is the road out to Dudley and out to that area, and that county line runs along through there. Our GIS shows this, and Kootenai's GIS shows this, and it was kind of hard to pinpoint which county the barn was being placed in, and their property was legitimately split by this. And so their house was clearly up on the Shoshone side, and it was being assessed as a Shoshone property, and with a house, and the other part of the property wasn't, and that's where they thought they wanted to put the property. And Kootenai came back with, we GPS'd it, it's not in our county, and it's not ours. So, we did the permit for it, and we assessed for it. Is that building in or out of the Shoshone? We think so, but there wasn't a definitive answer. And so, largely because Kootenai didn't care, somebody's got to give them a permit, so we did, and here we are. But that was the fear that, what is this going to do to a property? Well, all it's going to do is clearly define where do we go find that corner now. Today, you'd have a hard time. That line sort of goes through here somewhere,
It's my opinion that what Dan just described is the typical benefit of this proposal is that you'll have something to hang your hat on and a way to make a decision. Whereas now it's like, I guess it's okay. They don't care. But this is going to make governing a little bit simpler and more consistent. And that's what you guys signed up for, was consistent.
So again, so in our case, like you said, we're gaining a nominal amount of acres. We're not losing acres. And a handful of property owners that may have issues with, we'll be able to work with them on that. Some of the logistics of who's going to write the deeds and where those dollars come from, I think we're still to be figured out. But all 6 counties got to figure that out. So we'll do what everybody else does, and we'll figure it out. And I think it'll be a fine thing.
I have shared much of this idea with several timber companies. Potlatch is by far the biggest one that is affected. They embrace about 25% of the boundary. So it's 100 miles long, about 25 miles of it. Also have reached out to Hancock and Stimson. Potlatch has given me a verbal, yes, we are in favor of this. I've gotten no feedback from either Hancock or Stimson.
Okay. All right. Having heard all of that, Commission, and we have, of course, we've been addressing this for a few months now. Do I have any interest in a motion?
I would motion to accept the boundary lines as he's presented.
To approve this
Ordinance, yeah.
as written? And that's what you
Correct.
need, right, John, is to approve the ordinance as written? Okay,
I will second that motion.
okay. Is there any further discussion amongst the commission?
No.
I just think it's gonna be, a good deal for everybody, especially down there to be able to, we're kind of going through that right now with another piece of property where we're not sure where the railroad line was, and so this is gonna be, this will really help out folks down that thing, so. That's fine.
Okay. Well, then, let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously to approve. Okay. Thank you for all of your hard work. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Are we the last one?
No. Clearwater County.
Still got Clearwater to go?
I didn't want to approach them until I had 5 against them. They have a very strong conservative thread through their commission, and they didn't feel it was broken, and so no real reason to to fix anything. But now 5 counties have said, we just soon fix it.
We just soon
Okay,
fix it.
And I'm pretty confident that they will fall in line now.
Okay. All right.
I will be reaching out to a few legislators that I know and see if I can start drumming up a sponsor and working up the actual verbiage of the bill to be presented during this coming session. So hopefully you'll have an answer by sometime early next year.
Yeah, that would be nice. Well, with that meeting, again, a formal thank you for all your efforts. And thank you, P&Z, for your research. And with that, we are adjourned.